permissions. Why do we need to manage permissions? Well, by managing permissions, you can control who has access to your site, page, library, even a document. So can you control permissions down to a document? Certainly. Do we recommend it? No. And the reason why is because when you leave, nobody necessarily knows what you've done. So if you're going to give individual permissions for a document, do it at a library level and put the documents in that library. Okay? So, and it just becomes more cumbersome in trying to figure out what someone has done is if you try to, break permissions on a document and give specific access to an individual person or a group of people on one document. Always do it by a library. There are 3 standard permissions that you're going to use. It's members, owners, and visitors. So when you look at it, it should say your school name, members, your school name, owners, and your school name, visitors. And you'll see that the permission groups in a little bit. Owners have full control. So, like I said earlier, you guys are all in the owners group. We make the assumption if your principal sent you here, they sent you here for a reason, to be the owner of this and train other people. So you get to create subsites and manage users. So like the TCs out there that right now with your outward facing sites, you have to put an OSR or contact web services to add people to your permissions groups. That is not the case with your collaboration site. You are responsible for your permissions. So if you need to add somebody, you need to do it yourself. You don't have to put in OSR, you don't have to wait, you just do it. Members are content creators. They can view, add, update, delete, list items, and delete documents. Visitors can only read. So they can view pages, list items, and download documents. I'm going to send out a link to everybody to the rollout page where all these documents reside. So our PowerPoint presentations, they'll be all digitally. You can download them and look over them afterwards. So you don't have to take pictures or anything like that. This is all be available to you. Okay, so this we're going to talk about the site owner group. And the site owner group is the one that's the top level, that parent site, okay? The principal is the owner by default. So right now, the principal, and right now you guys, because the principal said you are owners, by sending you here, you're in that same position. You have the same rights. The principal and you can make others owners, as well as other groups as well. Groups should have very limited amount of people in this. You don't want everybody in the owner group. You want a limited number of people. Because owners can delete sites. You can't delete the whole site, no. You can't delete the top level. The top level can only be deleted by one of us. But you guys can easily delete subsites. Now, this subsite owner group is an option. We don't recommend it because you really don't want a subsite to have the owner other than the top level owner group. But you can do that if you choose. But there's really no necessity to do it because what you're going to end up doing, and you'll find out later, is the people that are going to be managing the site, all they need is content editor rights. They can be members to the site, and you just keep the top level group, owner group, as the owner all across all your sites. And again, you still want this to be very limited amount of people involved in that group as well. Then you have the site member group. Again, top level, site member. People of this group are responsible for adding and removing content. So maybe you have the person responsible for the calendar. Maybe it's a school secretary. I don't know. I don't know how your schools do it. But if they're responsible for the calendar for your school, or whoever that person is, you want to give them member rights. You want to put them in the members group. So those are the people that are able to edit content on your site, as well as add stuff to your calendars. Now, that doesn't mean that your teachers who have read-only rights, when we go over this later on, can't see the calendar. They can see the calendar, they just can't add anything to it. This group also should be very limited. Same with the site member group. This is where you're going to put your teachers. So if you make a first grade sub-site, you would make a sub-site, the security group, members group for first grade, and you put your first grade teachers in there and leave all your other teachers as read-only visitors. So this way, the first grade teachers can edit the page and put documents and put lesson plans, but your second grade teachers, they can just read what the teachers have done. So this way they can take advantage of seeing what other grade levels are doing, but they can't mess with it. They can't upload stuff and get things confused. Yes. Yep. There we go. There's a sensor in here. When doesn't catch movement for a while, it puts the turns off the lights. And this is the top level visitor group. The top level visitor group can read only. They can download documents. This group should have everyone in your school. All right, and we're going to show you how to do that. We have a couple of groups that exists already in Active Directory. That is your entire school, and you're going to create your visitor groups today in a little bit. Same with the sub-site visitors. It's just like the sub-site owners. The sub-site visitors is not necessary because you're going to use a top level one, but it doesn't mean you can't create one on your own if you wanted to be separate and break it completely. And here's our demo. We're going to actually do it. So if everybody would go to their site, their top level site. Let's see. Which one did we do it under? The School of Rock. Yeah, is it under? Is it site? Yep.
Collaboration.
Once you start moving into it.
Correct.
That's what I want to do.
Okay.
All right, so everybody's on your top level site? Okay. Let's go and take a look and see what permissions looks like. So what we're going to do is I want everybody to go into the little cog at the top right, and I want you to go to Site Settings. And in Site Settings, there's a little, under Users and Permissions, click on Site Permissions. And everybody should see three groups. Your owners group, your members group, and your visitors group. So go on the little top wheel.
Thank you.
Site settings, site permissions.
Thank you.
Okay? So everybody see, does anybody not see three groups? You don't see three groups? Can you, Hector, can you?
Yes.
You got it? Okay, good. Site settings, site permissions, and you should see groups. Site settings, site permissions. Okay? You should see three groups: visitors, owners, and members. What I want you to do is I want you to go and click on the owners group. In the owners group, you should see your names. You should see a Moss group, a Moss _admin. You should see a portal _admin or intranet _admin. That should all be there. If you don't see your principal's name, raise your hand if you don't see your principal's name. Okay, so you guys are going to add your principal.
Okay, but only one of us, right?
Yes, only one of you do it. The other people who see their principal, is there another person that is not in that is going to be assisting you as an owner in this group, in a group?
You.
Excuse me?
You're not on mine. I need to put you on there, right?
No. Don't put us. We already have rights to the site. You don't have to put me. Okay. So for those of you that don't have anybody to put in, you're going to put my name in and then you're going to delete it, okay? So
What if your name's in there already and
then delete it.
you want it deleted?
Yeah. You can put a checkbox.
So,
Yes. So put a checkbox next to my name here.
okay.
Actions. Remove from group, the last one. And then okay.
I was just gonna.
But the intro,
That stays there. Yeah, leave those there. All right, so what I want you to do is, if you don't have somebody, I want you to use my name. So what you're going to do here is you're going to come to the top here and click where it says new. And I just caution you guys, don't skip ahead thinking you know what you're doing, because there's a little thing at the end that you're going to miss. So what I want you to do here is, if you know the personnel number is the best way to do it. If you don't, the reason being, because if you start typing in your personnel number, this is connected to Active Directory, so as soon as you start typing that in, it's going to start populating the name. Okay, so then you just click on it, and now you added that person. If you don't know the personnel number, start typing the last name. So for me, Adani, and you'll see it's already started to populate, and you'll see Michael Adani will be the first one there. Okay, so if you need to put your principal, please start typing their last name of your principal. Select the principal until it goes in the top field there. Now, if you have somebody else you want to add at the same time, you don't have to do this one at a time. You just go ahead and start typing in the next person and select it. So I have Baez. I want to add him. Hector. There's Hector. So I put him in there. Once you get all the names of the people that you want as owners, down at the bottom here, there's a little link that says Show Options. Click on that. I don't know why Microsoft hides this, because it is only one field. What happens is, right now, if I was to hit share, it's going to send an email to anybody you have in there that say they have access. So when you're dealing with groups, that's a lot of people, and you don't want to send this out to everybody right now. So do me a favor and take the checkbox out of that field there. And after you're done, hit share. So right now, you should have, if you added me or your principal, you should now see them in that list. Yes. If you want to remove, and I'm going to show you deletions in a second. Yep. Was everybody able to add? What? He added you. Yeah. Oh well. Was everybody able to add a person? Yes? Cool? Excellent. Okay. So, you'll notice in this area here, you added me. If you see me, you'll see what I have written in my site, which is the information that we talked earlier about my site. So we'll go over a little bit later, more in depth on that. What you typed in. So this is not anywhere. This is what you type in about yourself. So if you have something typed in your about me in your my site, it'll show up in this area here. It pulls the title of the person from Active Directory, and then also the department. So you can see that I'm the SharePoint administrator, and I work in the district department. If you don't have anything right away, it's just possible that Active Directory may take a little while to populate that information from you. But I'm always on this site, so it's always here. So now you have a particular person that you don't want in there anymore. So you want to remove somebody. So for the people that used me, just put a checkbox next to my name. Once you put a checkbox next to my name, hit Actions and remove user from group. And it's going to ask you, are you sure you want to do this? You say, okay, and I'm gone. Pretty simple, right? All right, so that's how you're going to add and remove people from any group. So whether it's a visitor, a member, or an owner, it's the exact same way. All right? Anybody have questions about adding people and removing people? Okay, cool. So let's go now and let's yes. Okay. So whoever worked on your site, so whoever the TC was, or whoever worked on your site, didn't create the owner group correctly. So what we're going to do, Hector, can you go log in as web admin or internet admin on go to Colonial site and fix the owner group to be owned by the owner group? It'll be back in his once he adds that and you hit refresh, it'll come back. Okay. So while he's doing that, and you can follow along too, you don't have to worry about staying there. If you guys would go now to your visitor group on the left-hand side, you should see your groups. Go to the visitor group. And there's two things I want you guys to do. One is everybody should know that every school has distribution lists. So it would be your school name, 3-letter code, all, or instructional, or first grade, second grade, third grade. I need you guys to take all your distribution lists, and I need you guys to put in an OSR, and I need to have you turn your...
Someone expecting a phone call?
Is it weird? So I want you guys to put in OSR at online and tell them that you want all your distribution lists turned into security groups. It's important. It's very important because right now most of your school distribution lists are not. They're just regular distribution lists. And the reason why I want you to turn them into security groups is you guys can use those distribution lists as your permission groups. So you're not doing things twice and 3 times. So when you put a distribution list in your SharePoint group, the TCs are always managing the distribution lists, right? So a new teacher comes in, they move that teacher into the distribution list. When they move that teacher in the distribution list, you never have to put them in your SharePoint security because you're going to use those groups as your security. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah. Try to make it a little easier for you guys to manage your permissions. Did you unplug it?
Yeah, it's the standard. You know,
If it don't,
Space Odyssey 2.
just unplug it. Okay, so right now, if you look at this page right now, this is Magnolia's all group. Special School Magnolia, MA. This is one of their regular distribution lists. So if you were if you're an elementary school, you would have first, second, third, fourth, fifth grades, right? You'd have kindergarten, you'd have pre-K distribution lists. Every school has them. Use them. So what happens is by turning them into security groups, SharePoint sees those groups then. And when you see them, then this way all you're doing is populating your distribution lists, and then that manage your permissions. Because then you just use the group, right? You just use that group, and as soon as you add them to the distribution list, they're going to be in that group. Does that make sense?
So what you're saying is, if we have, say, a distribution list for kindergarten.
Correct.
If we put an OSR in and ask them to turn those into security
Groups, yes.
groups,
Mm-hmm.
then,
Convert it, yeah.
Then when we go into this,
You will see them.
you will see them.
Correct. Because
Then we'll use those to populate other areas.
correct.
Okay, gotcha.
Correct.
Can we go ahead and do that now?
Certainly.
Before it's turned over to a security group? And then-
No, it will not see it if it's not a security group. It does not see distribution lists. But it doesn't affect anything that you guys are currently doing.
Right.
It doesn't change the way you're populating those distribution lists. It's just giving that distribution list additional privileges. And it has to be a security group for permissions.
So we would no longer have to go into SharePoint and add new teachers.
Bingo.
Take out the old teachers.
Bingo.
Remove them from grade level.
Exactly. Does that make sense? Is that going to make your life a lot easier? Of course it is, because it's one less step you have to worry about.
So if it shows up in
Yes.
your security.
I finally just did it, but I had to go through a different browser because it would not let me sign in as a different user on IE. It gave me that 404 unauthorized error message.
Really? So, but you did it?
Yeah, I just did it now on Firefox though.
Okay.
Yes, that's gonna be the.
Go ahead into your owners group and see if you should have that new button now. There you go. Okay, he's set.
That was weird.
That was real. Okay, and I'll give you an example. So I wanted to, you can just follow along. You guys want to try this, you can too as well. Just click new. Type in the 3 letters of your one of your distribution lists, and see if it'll show up. It's weird. So I'm gonna do high school Winter Park. See how it's starting to populate? Look, now I get to see all of theirs. They have admin, all classified coaches, electives, English. So each one, because it's a high school, it's using curriculum levels. If you are in elementary school,
It's showing our users, or like local. our
correct.
users, not-
So that means they're not security groups. So if I take ECL, see ECL has a few of them, but ECL 1, ECL 2, 3, so first, second, third, fourth, ECL's using them. So because you had a school already, one of your staff people already here. So they already started that. So then I could take, this is saying working on first grade. All you'd have to do is come in here and select ECL 1. Please make sure you take the checkbox out. Then click share. So now anybody that's in that distribution list now has visitor rights to the site. No, I wouldn't do that. I'm going to do a different way for that just because you never have to manage it. Ever. Not for the visitors group, no. But this is what you want to do for your members groups, for your first, second, third grades and stuff like that. English. When you want to do, you're going to do this for member rights only for your curriculum levels, for your grade levels, when you want to give them rights to a site. Now, everybody it should be in the visitors group right now, right? So what I want you to do now, anybody know what VC or Visual Castle is? Okay, Visual Castle is the way the schools are supposed to be maintaining permissions for the school as well as the students. Well, and you should be using it because it makes your life a whole lot easier.
Right. Well, we can't. Not for the
But you still have, I think your permission groups are still there and your people are still in those groups.
Yes.
Correct. So you're going to use these. So what I want everybody to do is I want you guys to click new under visitors. And what I want you to do is we're going to think about your whole school and we're going to say, okay, in my school in AD there's 3 base main groups. Everybody start typing in staff. All right? Then period. Then your school name. So if I'm going to do Magnolia, I'd start typing mag. So when you start typing your school name, you should now see staff.school. What you are, elementary, middle, and high. That group is populated from SAP. So what happens is when you have a new teacher that comes in, or not a teacher, but for staff, but for your classified, when you come in, they're automatically placed in that staff group. So you're going to select that staff group. Huh? Okay. So, yeah, you have to create it. So then you come here and you select the staff group at the top. Now start typing in teachers. Teachers dot your school name. So now you'll see teachers dot your school name. That should be all your teachers in your school. Select that. And now we have a third one. Admin dot your school name. Same way. So now you have 3 groups. You got staff, admin, and teachers. If you don't have admin, some schools do not have admin, and there's nothing we can do about it. You're not being used. Those groups are not being used at your school. So if it's not there, just skip over that. What you're going to have to do then is you're going to have to add your admins in separately. Or use your distribution list that's admin. Yes?
Does this automatically update as you get new teachers?
Yes. That's why we want you to use this.
Try using this.
Just start typing in admin dot Your school name. Mm-hmm. And then you start pop. There you go. And there's your group. Yep, teachers plural. It's funny. It's the only one that did plural. Staff and admin, they did singular. And now, very very important. Come to show options. Take the checkbox out of send invitation, and then click share. Some of the schools that some of the guys may already see this on your visitor site because someone already did it. But now what you've done is you've just given everybody in your school visitor rights to your site. Now the way SharePoint works is your visitor, if you have visitor rights and you have owner rights, you always have the top level of permission. Flows, all right? Permissions flow downhill. So the highest level of permission that you have is what you have. So that's why we don't care that you're in both spots. If by putting everybody in as a visitor, you don't have to manage the visitors that come to your school. So you get a new person that's employed, they'll be SAP puts them in that group. They have minimum visitor rights to your site. So basically what that means is you're only going to be managing the owner group, which is a small group, and your member group.
I was able to pull this one.
Say again?
I was able to pull this one up. I'll try with the space without the space.
Should be no spaces. Let's see. There you go. Staff, silver star, exceptional.
Oh, that space.
There you go. Yep, and then you could do the same thing for, I was gonna say did you already do the same thing for teachers? You should do fine right there and select that one. There you go. And then admin, same thing. You don't have to put the OCPS, just start typing admin dot silver. There you are. Select and then hit share. Does everybody understand how that works? We're putting you in the same way in that group, but the reason we're using that group is so you don't have to manage your visitors. Yeah, she's already done it, so if you go ahead and cancel out of that, because you don't want to mess up what you guys are working on the same site, so be careful. He just put all those in there. I guess. Did you put all those in there? Yeah. Go ahead and cancel. Yeah, I would take all those out. Let him do it. Yeah, there's no reason for any of those. Because the only ones that, if you refresh this page, go ahead and refresh, you'll see what your principal just did. See, she just added these groups here. So anything that's a distribution list, get rid of. We'll put a checkbox there. Yep. The only one that you want in there is the 3 that she just put in. And then just hit actions and remove group. And then OK. There you go. So go ahead and refresh your page. So it should only see the 4 things. Okay, excellent. Yes?
For our staff that's not actually staff of the school,
Mhm.
like our speech.
Yep,
and
I was going to get into that one next.
Perfect.
Okay. Now, you are definitely going to have teachers or staff people that are not assigned to your school. Your itinerants, your speech and language, your hearing, your OT, PT, whatever. Those are district employees. You're going to manually have to add them in here. So you'll have to do new and put their name, just like you did their individual. Or do you have a distribution list for those group of people? I don't know if some schools have them for the itinerants or not.
Yeah, we put them as part of our ESE.
You part of the ESE? So what you can do is, if you want, is just throw the ESE distribution list into that permissions group. Yep. As long as it's a security group. So like I said, I recommend you guys make a list of all your distribution lists. Put in the OSR, have them change them all over to security groups. Okay? Yes. Yeah, I don't care. Let him put a ticket in. She can say it's done. I can't rely on whether it's getting done or not. So. Okay. All right. So now we have now given your whole school visitor rights. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at a sub-site. So go ahead and choose one of your sub-sites. You have everybody in that you need. Jeez. Oh my Lord.
As I'm saying, that's just teachers, except for the staff at Beta. And we have 16 sites.
Yeah, that's true. My Lord. Wow. 16 sites. Okay.
Yes.
How much more you got?
I'm just looking for my admin now.
Okay.
Beta, opt-in. Yeah. I believe that's it.
Okay.
Admin.
Make sure you take the checkbox out of that
Checkbox out.
and then share.
See who's in those?
That's an act. You'd have to look in VC. He can tell you, or Active Directory will tell you.
So that's what it says.
No,
Admin or it's in Beta.
because it's an AD group. You can't look into an AD group. Okay. So if I can have everybody pick a sub-site now, one of the sub-sites that you've created, and this is what we're going to learn how to break permissions now and give it custom permissions, because you're going to do this to every one of the sub-sites. All right, so I have a sub-site here called First Grade. I don't know what you guys are going to be using. Some of you may already having a grade. So the same thing, go to the sub-site that you're going to use, go to the cog at the top, site settings, and site permissions. Go to the sub-site that you want to work on. Maybe the one that you created, the test one, or whatever. Go to the cog up at the top right. Go to site settings, site permissions. Or you could just do site permissions. Now, when you go to there, you should see the same three groups. Right? Everybody see the same three groups: members, owners, and visitors of the top level. And if you read this top level, all of you should see this website inherits permission from the parent. Right? Everybody see that? So that means that anything that's the permissions that you just did to the top level have come down to the lower sub-site. But what we're going to do now is we're going to come over here and we're actually going to, up at the top here, the second button, it says Stop Inheriting Permissions. So you're going to click on that. You're going to say, are you sure you want to do this? You say, okay. And it's going to bring you to a new page. It's going to give you the options now of either using an existing group or creating a new group. So we've already decided that we don't want to mess with visitor group all the time. We want to use the same group. So let's go. It says use existing. Make sure use existing is there, and drop down and look for your top level school site visitor group and select it. Is everybody there? Yes, the top level. It's going to tell you. It's because that's the school name visitors.
She was just that deep.
Do you have her? Is she up? Are we up to the same spot?
No, can you tell her to?
Stop. Bring her up to stop inheriting permissions, and I'll wait till you get there. So everybody, yes.
Restate that the last wording again. I want the Clark Elementary visitors.
Correct. Yep. So you're gonna remember the top level group is always going to say your school name. Visitors. So we want to keep the same permissions. We want to use an existing group and select your school name visitor group. Has everybody got that? Are we there? Okay. The members group. The members group is where it's going to get the only one we're going to change. All right, because we want to create a new members group just for the subsite. So this is where you're going to click on create a new group. And you're going to name it. So I'm working on first grade, so I'm going to say this one for me is going to be first grade members. All right? So if you're working on English, you're going to want English members. If you are math, you're doing math members. Okay, everybody understand? Everybody get that part? What's up?
I was just telling her, we're going by site, so this
That's
is our
fine.
school to work site.
That's fine.
Creator, can you see if she's up to where you're at?
That's what you're for.
No, I just want to make sure.
No, create a new group.
Joking. Yeah.
No. So you already have, is it, what grade, what are you looking at, working on first grade? All right, so then, that's good. So leave it just like that. Don't step any further yet. All right, so now, has everybody created a members group? Okay, once you create a members group, don't do what I'm doing. I'm just, because we played around with the site before, so it's going to have a lot of the same stuff already on here. Okay, so everybody should say their custom member group now. The last one is the owner. You always want to use the existing and select the owner group from the top level, so the school owners. If you click on it and don't see the owner, click where it says more, and then click on it again, you'll see the owner group. And select that top level owner group. So what we've told SharePoint, what we told this site, is that we want to use the same visitor group and the same owner group, but we want a new members group because you're going to manage it by that new members group. Once everybody has that thing checked off, click OK, and it's going to create the permissions to that site.
Okay, in the members group, was I supposed to add someone?
No, it's going to keep your name there by default. Leave it there for now. Okay? It should bring you right back to your home page. Yes.
I don't know if I remember right flag. Here is create a new group.
Yep, you named it.
This is okay.
Yes. And then you want to make sure that the owners group is the top level owners group.
So
Forsyth Woods Elementary owners. Drop down. Select the owners group. That's it.
now if I'm getting this duplicate, probably somebody else has already.
Yes,
created
that means that somebody has, because someone already came from your school, already created it.
Okay.
So if
Wouldn't
you,
I have seen that? in here,
yes,
though?
because you already did, because it looks like it may have been deleted, because this is unique permissions, they've already done it. So you're going to go in there, go back to where you were, and let's actually create that. Just hit the backspace, back, and then hit permissions. Let's go create our grant permissions, please. Excuse me, sorry. Start typing in the what was called first grade. Which one was it?
This is what I named it.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's the right one. Then under show options, make sure you select the drop down, and then just select edit contribute. Excuse me. Right there. Yep. And then take the checkbox out.
That was, they had evidently stopped at that point and didn't have.
Mm-hmm. It's possible. I don't know.
Okay, there we
So
go.
now you have your first grade group.
Right.
Yes.
First grade?
She just yes.
Okay. So let me go back. I'll do, if you do 2, 3.
Let's worry about where we're at now. So stick on one. You do whatever first grade.
Okay. So we've got to go back and redo all of those because they're all like that.
Oh,
They
so
all said duplicate? No, they all have unique.
oh, they are supposed to be unique because that what happened is whoever was here probably
But they didn't put the grade level in.
correct. They broke permissions, but they didn't actually create the groups.
Yes, we have to go back in and do that.
Yes.
How
Okay.
do we do that?
And I just showed her.
Yeah.
She just did first grade.
Which one is it? Then all of them. I did second grade. Second grade's good, but every other group is not.
Okay. All right. So the next step we want to do is we want you to guys. It should have brought you to your front page again for that sub site you were working on. go to that cog again, go to site settings, go back to the site permissions, all right? You should now see 4 groups. The 3 top level groups and the 1 new member group that you created. What I recommend is getting rid of the members group for your top level on the subsites. And the reason why we say that is because are you going to have members, the people that are responsible for the top site, working on the subsites? Not usually. It's going to usually who you decide to be a member. So what I recommend is just going ahead to make it easy is just to remove the members group from it. So you just put a checkbox next to members, not the new one you just created, but the top level one. And at the top here, it says remove user permissions. Now here's a caveat. You can remove user groups, but you can't remove users. If I came inside to this and said, you know what, I'm going to leave the user group here, but I'm just going to remove the users from inside of it. You've just removed all the users from the members group from your top level down. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you can remove the group from the subsite that has broken inheritance, but you can't remove the people because you still affect the group itself. All right? So let's put a checkbox next to the members group that you don't want anymore, and then click remove user permissions. It's going to ask, are you sure? You say okay, and now you're back to your 3 groups. You have the new member group, the old owner group, and the old visitor group. Does that make sense to everybody? So we've told this site now that the members group is going to worry about editing. Everybody has visiting rights, and those same owners all have owner rights. Is that cool? All right. You just done permissions. Any questions about permissions?
You just took me out.
I just took.
You have videos for all of them.
Yes.
So that when we go back and we go, what?
Yep, it's all there.
In your opinion, when you listen to what Doug said, one person should be.
Doug is not the norm. He's an exception. Most people would break up responsibilities. Most schools. Again, Doug is an exception. He is an overachiever. He wants it his way, and he knows he wants it his way. And the easiest way to do that is for him to do it himself, which is fine. That's just a choice. Is everybody that way? No. Does that mean you can't do some of the things he's doing? No, of course not. You can do everything he's doing. Yes.
This means only now math members can edit math. They can't do anything else.
Correct.
No other department.
Nope. Nope. And you can see the permission levels in the far right column. It'll tell you under permission levels, it says first grade can edit. My web services owners has full control, and my visitors only read. It tells you right in the permissions what it does, what each one does.
Okay, then what happens in my case? Multiple, one person doing multiple things.
Mm-hmm.
They might be here, they might be in PLC, they might be in my CRT. I have to have them in group.
In that case, I would, in a case like yours, I may want to keep the permissions for my whole site the same. Not break permissions. Keep the permissions the same across your whole site. Or you stick them in the owners group and they have full rights anyway.
No, I want them, okay, so can I put back?
Certainly, you can put back that members group. Hmm?
Put back the members group and just leave that alone.
Again, that's a choice that you want to make.
We're so small, everybody was doing multiple.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So how do I put them?
If you click on, it says grant permissions up at the top, a button, and then type in the members group. You don't have to use OCPS. Just start typing Silver Star. There you are. Select the member group. Oh. Go back. Back. There you are. And then on the drop down, make sure select this drop down here.
Just like this.
Yep. And then select the contribute. And then hit share. You're all done. You've added them back.
Okay, so now this group, they can go in.
So if you open up that members group now and click on it, you'll see the same. If there's anybody in it, as you can see, us is in there. That's it. They would be in there.
Okay, and they can edit.
Edit. Correct. Yep. Any questions about permissions?
I just want to show you something
Okay.
before I say yes. I went in on the third grade numbers. They had it at edit.
Contribute's fine.
I went to and changed.
That's
to
what it should be.
contribute.
Mhm.
Okay, and then I just hit OK, and so then that should
Yep.
be there. And then
So even the Rock Springs, that one there, if you click on, put a checkbox next to that, edit user permissions, up at the top, and you can take that, everything out of there except for contribute. Leave contribute only.
Okay, gotcha. Now this one though, we want to take out.
Yep, so
since
put
we're
it,
using that.
so put a checkbox there and remove user. Yep,
Thank you.
then they're gone. Okay. I think,